And now, a late newscast on behalf of the, I don't know why we bother anymore, Broadcast Corporation. In the wake of the recent catastrophically stupid Brexit decision and the rise of Donald Trump in the US, stocks in satire have fallen to an all-time low, with leading satire traders saying that nothing their clients could ever come up with could in any way be as utterly ridiculous as Nigel Farage's face or Boris Johnson's everything. One leading satirist, who wished to remain nameless, said that he had whipped up some shit blancmange in a novelty turnip-shaped hat and covered it in a fright wig, but even that, he said, he could take more seriously than Donald Trump's, and I'm quoting him here, fucksack full of clementine sick that passes for a face. Good news, however, for jaunty-stepped, irritatingly northern end-of-the-pier joke-tellers, however, as stocks in old and slightly racist puns rose again for the third consecutive day. Despicable waste of human skin and mouldy bag full of rat effluent, Jim Davidson said that he has never had so much work and laughed heartily, praising that having a brain like a duck intestine filled with hobo shoes has never been so profitable. And in breaking news, this just in, Bobby Davro is said to be tossing his dunce cap full of Bella Emberg's half-eaten Scotch eggs into the ring as a possible candidate for Prime Minister when David Cameron steps down later this year. The Conservative Party have responded by throwing their arms up in a half-assed shrug and saying, sure, why not? Little and Large can be Education Minister, but only if they wear one large brown novelty trench coat and pretend to be an unconvincingly tall person. And in further financial news, the Pathos Index has crawled quietly away into a corner and wept pathetically into a jumper full of dead mice. Across the pond, though, things look much brighter as Conservatives have rallied together to try and highlight the, as one critic said, blisteringly real and hilariously authentic portrayal of an Asian American that was Mickey Rooney's performance in Breakfast at Tiffany's. When asked if they had any comment on gun laws, gay rights, women's rights, the impending apocalypse, or the proliferation of generally useless assholes lying about, they said, no, we're politicians and we won't be drawn into your feeble liberal trick of wanting to discuss the issues. Instead, I think it's disgusting in 2016 that the wishy-washy, politically correct folks out there consider Mickey Rooney a true American and his portrayal in the American classic Breakfast at American Tiffany's as woefully misjudged when clearly it's a work of American comic genius. The men I saw then went back to sniffing each other's bottoms while quaffing vast amounts of processed pudding substitute and shooting local vagrants for not owning enough yachts. And now, just to bring us all down, it's this week's episode of the After Movie Diner, which is brought to you by the I'm So Sorry This Won't Happen Again coalition of Walton on the Twinge, and Nigel's of Bond Street supplied the large rubbery cocks. Sorry, by which of course we mean roosters. And not penis. Anyway, on with the deconstruction of modern bathing techniques and the deep strokey-chinned rumination on the Heidelberg principle of flappy guts. Hello and welcome to another episode of the After Movie Diner, and here we are in a diner after a movie yet again, only this time, instead of my regular co-host, we have yet another guest host. You're the third guest host in a row. Thank you very much. He hasn't been on a podcast in a long time. He used to have his own one. He no longer does. Therefore, there's no real frame of reference, and you probably haven't listened to his previous times on this show. However,
this is a killer introduction.
He is phenomenal. He is funny. He is a good friend, and I'm so glad that I've twisted his arm and broken his neck to get him back on the show.
Keep digging.
It is the wonderful, the one, the only, the fascinating Mr. Marc McDonald. Sir, it's a pleasure.
Wonderful and fascinating? What was it? That was the best you could do? I was really expecting a lot more.
Okay. It exudes
nothing about my
hilarious,
scintillating personality.
Hilarious, handsome. What a wonderful and fascinating. That's scintillating personality. If I find that wrong. All right. He's gonna be.
I've heard you introduce other people. You're much more. What's the word?
What do you mean? I said you're amazing. You're legendary.
That's not good.
It's not good enough to be legendary. Epic.
Yeah. I feel like you should exaggerate a lot more.
Okay.
You're usually much more effusive. There's the word. Effusive.
Exaggerate your legendariness.
Yes.
If that is such a thing.
No, that's all right. I don't buy it either.
No, exaggerate your legend should be the word. But anyway, it's wonderful to have Marc McDonald back on the
material to work with.
No, not at all. Like child's Play-Doh, you are easy to work with and fun, but you
Lovely
rub
smell.
a wonderful smell, and you
That's
rub off on my
whiteness.
hands. Oh, that's disgusting. Just the sheer image of that. And we are in the Waverley Dinerette here on West 4th, or just down from West
Is this a
4th.
dinerette?
I just thought I'd add "et" onto the end of the word to sound flowery and
You're
pompous.
not looking at a menu. Do you already know what you're getting?
I'm going to have ham, egg, and chips.
Ham, egg, and chips.
Well, ham, egg, and fries, whatever they call it.
Oh, don't try and pretend.
Ham, egg, and fries. You can do that. You're going to have ham, egg, and fries. I bet somewhere there's two
Ham, egg,
eggs.
and
Oh,
fries.
look. Boom. There's two eggs with ham. Boom.
So you're having
with hash
breakfast?
browns, French fries, or toast.
I'm not particularly hungry, so maybe I should do breakfast too.
I'm having ham, egg, and fries, dude. That's all I want.
Ham, egg, and fries.
Yeah. They don't do disco fries here, do they?
I don't know what that is.
Disco fries is with melty cheese and gravy.
Oh, okay.
It's not the kind of thing you would have with ham and eggs. But if they had disco fries, I might rethink the ham and eggs. But actually, I just want ham, eggs, and fries. I've already thought about it, and I know what I want.
This is what I hate about diners is there's too much on the menu. I'm not ready.
He'll be ready in about 2 minutes, man. Thanks so much. I'm not.
The cops just showed up.
That's fantastic.
It's
That's-
over, we're
that's-
done for.
That's hilarious. That's the
Cheese
best.
it.
No.
It's the fuzz.
That is the best diner moment in any of the ones that I've recorded in an actual diner. Was you going, no, I'm not ready. Like, that's the best. That has made me happy.
I'm not ready now.
No, I understand you were just being honest.
I don't know what I
But
want.
it came across as the most miserable thing I've ever heard. It was tremendous.
I am the most miserable thing.
Because you were just about to say the trouble with diners is there's too much on the menu. And he comes over to you, no, I'm not ready. There's too much pressure.
I'm glad I'm entertaining you.
Oh, it's tremendous. The audience of this episode have already decided
Gotten
this
their
is
money's
gonna,
worth?
No, yeah, they've already decided it's going to be a good one. Tonight
Can I get a challah?
Can I get a hallelujah? Challah as in challah bread?
Yeah.
As in the
I don't know what that is.
Jewish festival? I'm Jewish. I should know.
You're Jewish?
Well, my mum's Jewish. So
I would never have
technically-
guessed. Except for all the talking and the beer.
And the depression and the neurosis.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the beard, the horribly Hasidic beard that I seem to grow. That has now collapsed Mark into fits of laughter. I'm already winning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm already winning this episode. So I promised Mark that I would do all the talking because he feels like this film has nothing to talk about, which quite honestly I think is crazy.
Not nothing.
Why don't you, at the very least, sir, say what the film is? Can I yank that from you?
The film is the king of comedy. Is it king or kings? It's king. The king of comedy.
The king of comedy.
The Martin
Better to be king for a
Scorsese-
night than schmuck for a lifetime.
The Martin Scorsese joint.
The Martin Scorsese film. It's only
Sorry,
Spike Lee
only
and,
Spike Lee
and
has
Robert
joint.
Rodriguez who says joint. But yeah, it's Martin Scorsese's little sort of unheralded, and almost I felt like the way it was filmed, almost kind of sort of a low-budget, slightly guerrilla film, because you feel like, especially with the scenes on New York, that they just went out with a camera.
There are
like
people gawping in the background.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially like the Times Square things, you feel like they just stole those shots.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel as purposefully filmed as something like even Taxi Driver or Raging Bull or Goodfellas. It feels a bit scrappy, don't you think?
I can't multitask.
Oh, okay. I will wait for you to pick. You're just going to be like, I'll have eggs. And then once that happens, we'll continue to talk. But yeah, Martin Scorsese's King of Comedy, which comes out, I want to say, 1987. I'm going to look it up while you pick what you want to eat.
Your problem is you don't want to actually edit it.
When you're ready, close the menu.
Seriously, man, talk to him like that. He loves that. Tell him what's what, and he'll make it happen. We are so getting spit in our food. Although that might be considered a delicacy. Oh no, it's 1982. So it's early, 1982. I thought it was 1980. That's why it looks so 70s, because it's 1982.
70s.
No, I said that's why it looked so 70s. Like when he went into his apartment, it looked quite 70s and velvet. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I thought that the reception of the office building was very kind of 70s in its design. Like it was trying to look futuristic, but now that we're in the future, you look back at it and you go, that looks so 70s.
Retro-futuristic.
Right. It's so depressing that when you look up Robert De Niro on IMDb, his last credit was Dirty Grandpa with fucking... What's his name in it? What's his name? That fucking little turd who's in movies.
Adam Sandler?
No. He's an old turd now. This is like the new young turd who's probably going to take over from Sandler. He's in Neighbours with Seth Bullock.
Oh, Zac Efron?
Zac Efron. Even, but like, both his names...
His only skill is being pretty?
But both his names, the name Zac and the name Efron, make me want to punch him in the face. Just like both of his names are punchable.
My middle name is Efron.
No, it's not. You are not Marc Efron McDonald.
You don't know that my middle name is actually
no.
Zach.
I do know that your middle name is not either Zach or Efron. So this comes after Deer Hunter, Raging Bull, and True Confessions. King of Comedy. He then follows it up with Once Upon a Time in America, Falling in Love, Brazil, The Mission. I mean, this was back when De Niro could do no wrong.
Brazil?
He was on a roll. He plays Tuttle in Harry Tuttle.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were doing Scorsese.
Well, Scorsese was on a roll as well. He did Raging Bull. And, he did New York, which of course was not a success.
Well, there were many who say this was not part of his role.
Right, except me. I think it is part of his role.
It's interesting. I don't know.
It's
half and half.
It's an incredibly well scripted, incredibly well acted, but somewhat scrappily and quickly shot movie.
I didn't really have a big problem with the shooting.
The editing was all over the place.
It was a little.
The editing was all over the place as well.
That's fair.
You feel like
But I felt like he still did interesting stuff with the camera.
Yeah, but there weren't like there are a couple of very classic Scorsese shots.
Yeah, like the shot where he's talking to the audience that's posted on the wall.
Right. And it just pulls down that long character.
Pull back.
But there aren't the montages, there aren't the like bright colours, there isn't the slow-mo, there isn't,
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You go first.
I would like 2 eggs, ham, and fries.
So how you like the eggs?
Over easy.
2 over easy with a ham and a French fry.
With hams and French fries. Yes.
White whole with right toast.
Right, please.
Any drink?
No, water's fine. No, actually, I'm going to have a black and white milk.
Check together, separate.
Separate, please.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna have what he's having.
Same thing.
Yeah, but bacon instead of ham.
And shake.
Yeah, black and white.
So 2 over easy. Bacon, French fry. Right toast.
And it's fine to bring 1 check as well. Let's have the 1 check.
Yeah, just do one.
Just the 1 check. I'll pick it up.
Whatever's easier for you.
Everything easy for me because only 1 check we can take a 2 card. So only 1 card. That's why.
I'm picking up the check.
No,
For us, everything easy.
He already hates us. He's like another couple of comedians coming in tonight.
Nah.
You're right. We're not comedians.
You're priceless, sir. You're
We're
priceless.
not funny at all.
I can't tell if he's just like really miserable
he
or if he hates us.
I think he
hates us and he's miserable. I think it's a double whammy.
Is this your water or my water?
That's your water. I've already drunk out of it.
Cheers, diner. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, diner. Cheers.
So anyway, there are a few Scorsese flourishes, but I feel like if the arty set go along to this in order to see like incredible cinematography and director work, you're not going to see.
Yeah.
The other Scorsese.
It's also very outside of his wheelhouse.
It's like a Woody Allen movie. It's like a notch. It's sort of in that ballpark.
Okay.
There are sequences
A
where.
little bit, not as charming though, I don't think.
Well, I think if Woody played the Pupkin role, it wouldn't be
It would have been more charming.
Well, he would have been like more crazily neurotic rather
Yes.
than psychotically
Weird. Yeah.
weird.
He's not a likable character.
No, he's awkward.
Yeah.
In fact, what made me think, especially the sequences where he keeps like running up the steps and saying to Jerry, like, and Jerry, another thing, like
Yeah.
those sequences. Ricky Gervais watched this when he was like 20 and has just done this shtick.
Well, and that's what was one of the things I was thinking watching it was
It's the comedy of awkwardness, a lot of
it's
it.
cringe comedy and
Not all of it,
not
but
heavy, not
Right.
really heavy, because otherwise I would have absolutely hated it because I
Right.
hate cringe comedy.
Right.
Cringe comedy is painful to me. Like
Yeah.
literally, I don't know if it's whatever my own hang-ups, but I have a lot of difficulty watching, which is why I hate a lot of Ricky Gervais's work.
Right.
Although he has some good stuff too. But
He does. He's very, but I'm 50-50 on him as
yeah,
well. I know exactly what you mean. Yep.
And I hate a lot of new popular comedy shows that have that style where it's just somebody making an ass out of themselves the entire show, and I just don't like it.
But I think because this is, first of all, it's written very well.
Okay.
You don't think so? As a satire,
I
I
think
think
it's-
it's written.
It's written well.
It manages to nail everything while maintaining a consistent character and never makes you feel like, oh, I'm watching a satire, even though the humor, a lot of it comes from the satire.
Okay. All right. I think the more I think about it,
A lot of satires would have stepped out of the film and gone, look what we're doing, look
Yeah,
how clever
right,
we're
right,
being, and it never does that.
no, that's true.
And there's no speechifying. It's not even like good night and good luck, which I love, right? And obviously is making serious commentary on the McCarthy era and da-da-da-da-da. But in order to like nail home what the movie's about, Clooney includes that speech at the beginning that Edward R. Murrow gives that kind of goes, this is exactly what this movie is going to be about, and let me lay it out for you, and these are the people, and blah, 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 blah. This never does that. You either pick up on the satire or you don't. Like, it doesn't...
Yeah, I mean, it's satirical, definitely.
And ahead of its time, to some extent.
Maybe a little in its commentary on the celebrity culture and or the reaching for celebrity culture by regular people,
Yeah.
which nowadays is even more. Although ironically, we're sitting here recording a podcast. A couple of schlubs recording our podcast.
Yeah. Hoping to one day be
We're gonna make it big.
kings for the night.
No, I gave up on that a long time ago.
But no, I don't know about you, but this movie, and again, because there was a point in my life where I was, let's say, naively ambitious. That's the best way to put it. I was never this guy,
Right.
but there was a kernel of this guy that
Sure.
lived like deep within me that would occasionally be like, I can't wait to be on a show and be interviewed by people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I just so desperately wanted to be interviewed by people. And it's so funny because Frank Zappa's documentary was on the trailer before this. And in the Frank Zappa documentary, he says, like, he's being interviewed, and he says, short of being tortured, or what was the word he used?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, short of the Spanish Inquisition, this is like the most abnormal state a human could be, being interviewed.
Right,
But
yeah.
all I
Yeah.
grew up, I didn't necessarily want to do the work or be creative, although that is definitely part of it. I do like being creative. But I definitely wanted to do the work and then be heralded and interviewed for it.
Yeah, I think that's the difference, is that, I mean, you put in an awful lot of work into everything you do. I know that for a fact, but I feel like in the movie, Rupert is just...
Oh, no, that's the whole
he does
point.
no work.
No, he does no work. No,
Yeah.
there's... We'll get into the movie in a little bit, but just the character itself lives or had lived within me at some point. And I also think that that's why I equate this with Taxi Driver, because although I would never do what Travis Bickle does in Taxi Driver, and I would never do what Rupert Pupkin does in The King of Comedy, both movies, I think, speak to men at a certain age, whether it's about loneliness and experiencing the world around you and seeing it for the first time as messy and grubby and weird, or that desire for ambition, that desire for success, but not.
Or to show your peers.
Right.
And be like, you guys that made fun of me in high school.
Right. That whole sequence where he dreams
Yeah.
about getting married on the show, and he's being married by his old high school principal, and the whole wedding spiel is all about, like, thank you very much.
Everybody wants to apologize. Thank you.
Yeah, we want to apologize on a national stage
Yeah.
for everything we did in high school.
Yeah.
That speaks to the 12-year-old in me. It doesn't speak to the 36-year-old in me, but it definitely speaks to the 12-year-old in me. And Pupkin's definitely in a state of arrested development.
Yeah.
But what is very interesting is, especially in this day and age, if you look at any of the stand-up comedians that get interviewed, or Mark Maron's chat show, or comedians in cars getting coffee, or whatever it is.
Sure.
Louis C.K.'s TV show. The one thing we all know about now, if we're interested in it at all,
Right.
is the work that goes into being a stand-up comic.
Right.
Right? Jay Mayo talks about it all the time on his show, Hold the Mayo Podcast. Listen to it on iTunes. But what I mean is that it's not just, I had a funny idea, that looks easy, we get up on stage and do it, and everyone should give me the opportunity to do it. It's about the first time you get on stage, you're going to bomb, right? And then the second time you're going to get on stage, maybe you get a few laughs, but you're still going to bomb. And you have to hone that material and hone that. So we all know that now. But back then when this was made, I'm not sure how much of that had been discussed.
Well, not only that, but also you're not just getting on stage. You're going to like an open mic. You're going to,
of course, right.
Tiny venue in the middle of nowhere for an open mic with a
Right.
bunch of other people who
50
are
other people.
also open mic people, and
Right.
that's your audience.
So
And it's like they were saying in the movie, you got to do your time.
right. And so what's really fascinating about this is that I listen to a lot of those comedian podcasts, and they say about the open micer who shows up at the they have these gigs where you have to bring certain number of bringers, they call it, like a certain number of people, and you get open micers who don't bring the right amount of people but assume that they should just get the next headline spot because they think one of their bits is funny.
Right.
You extrapolate that, they're Rupert Pupkin, you know what I mean? They just want to jump the line. And I definitely knew people when I was at university doing a film course who were like, well, I'm going to make one movie and be the Coen brothers, you know what I mean? Or I'm going to make a movie and be Spielberg.
Yeah.
And they're like, it doesn't quite work like that, you know what I mean? Everything...
Unless you're really, one, really good, and two, really lucky.
Yes.
It can happen.
Yes.
It just doesn't happen to everybody.
Right.
And
In fact...
It doesn't happen to 99% of everybody.
Right. So first of all, then, what did you take away from the film? What were your favorite bits? What bits do you feel didn't work?
I think I like the concept. I think if I had to pick something that didn't work, and it's strange, I'm probably going to get flack for saying this, but I feel like De Niro didn't work.
Right.
I don't feel like he's the right type for that role, because he's very good in it. Don't get me wrong, he's a good actor. I just feel like it's the wrong... I don't know, he comes across sleazy and shitty, and I feel like you're supposed to be on his side in the movie. I feel like the way it's written, you're supposed to go to bat for him. You're supposed to be like...
I don't think that at all. I think the whole point of the movie is
You're
that...
supposed to hate him?
Is that... Langford is nice enough to him when he gets in the car, and listens to him, puts up with him.
Jerry Lewis was great, by the way.
Jerry Lewis is incredible in the
He was
movie.
amazing in this, which is something, because I'm not a big Jerry Lewis fan.
Me neither.
No.
And I feel like this is probably closer to who he really is than the rubber-faced, nutty professor guy.
Right, right.
But he does a great Carson
Sort of
style, put upon guy.
Celebrity who's, yeah.
And I think in a film where it was a little more even, and where maybe the film falls down, is it could have been more successful to have shown Langford's life as much as you show Pupkin's life. To kind of give it that balance.
Right.
Because at the end of the day...
They're both lonely losers.
Right.
Well, not losers. One's a winner, one's a loser.
Right. But
in a sense, they're both losers. Like,
right. Langford doesn't have anyone in his
He
life.
doesn't have anyone in his life. He doesn't appear to be happy.
He doesn't have friends coming over that weekend that they go up to his house. He doesn't have any friends there. He's not got a girlfriend. He's not got a mistress.
Yeah,
He hates
he's eating dinner alone.
He hates the fame. His dog is little and shitty. Sorry, I almost made you spit out your milkshake.
His dog
he's
is
got a
little
little,
and
like,
shitty.
he's
You're
got
going
like
to be sleeping in the doghouse tonight.
He's got a little Pomeranian or something with a bow in his hair. It's just sat on the chair.
Don't you have a little dog?
No, I have a Boston Terrier. Kick-ass
That's
with
little.
one eye.
Well, yeah, it's kick-ass.
It's kick-ass.
She's kick-ass.
She's kick-ass. So,
But
no,
little.
but I feel like you're meant to, like, Langford's nice to him. The assistant, and I forget her name,
Which one?
the one who takes his tape,
Oh, okay.
says,
Where
listen
do I
to
know her from?
I don't know. But, like, actually gives him good advice,
Yep.
says to him twice, I really mean it. If you do stand up somewhere, we will come and listen.
She actually listened to the tape.
Right? So
Yep.
even if it's all BS, they're still as nice as he has any reasonable expectation for them to be to him. Right?
Yeah.
But because they don't go along with his fantasy, which is that he believes him and Jerry are friends after one conversation in the back of the car, and he also believes that this dream he had about Jerry saying, you're amazing, come down to the summer house is real, right? Because they don't buy into his delusion, he says, well, my only other recourse is violence and craziness. And so I don't think you're meant to like him. I think you're meant to be a little wary of him. I think that you're meant to laugh at him. And I think that the reason why I would say De Niro works is because underneath his car salesman mustache and shitty, cheap pastel blue suit,
Yeah, which I don't like, but whatever. Okay. Yeah.
you can tell. Well, no, it's a guy dressing like that, thinking he looks the part when he so clearly stands out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, which
that's
is
what's
why I
brilliant
don't-
about it.
But I don't like that. I'd rather he was more. He's fucking odious. Like, I can't stand the guy. There's nothing about him that I find charming or interesting. He's a smug, like, thinks he's amazing. He's manipulative. He's like, there's nothing charming about anything, and yet he's the main character.
He's delusional and naive.
He's extremely delusional, but he's also in a
on the-
manipulative way.
And
not
on
in
the
a,
and on the edge of
and sleazy.
psychosis, and he without De Niro playing it, you wouldn't have that like every time De Niro's on screen, no matter what he's doing, there's that rumbling underbelly of like danger.
Mm-hmm.
Like any minute Pupkin could snap and pull a gun out of his jacket.
Yes,
Right.
I agree, which is why
Is why it works for me watching it the way I watch
For
it.
me, I felt like that hurts the movie more than. So I guess maybe my problem with the movie is tone. Like, it's sort of all over. I get that it's dark comedy, quote unquote, but it's like the comedy isn't comedic enough, and the dark is.
Well, this is the other difference.
I don't know.
If it was a Woody Allen movie, there would be lines in it,
It would have
that
been
were
lighter.
obvious. No, but there would have been lines in it that were obvious jokes. that you would laugh at.
Okay.
Because it was written as a joke. In this,
There's behavior that you
It's-
laugh at.
behavior and situation
Yes.
that generates the joke, rather than, and here's a funny one-liner that I just rattled off.
Well, let me just... Okay, so like the last act of the film
Right.
is very good. I enjoyed that a lot. Everything from the moment they kidnapped
What, Sandra
him.
Bernhard? Who's
Yeah,
also
she's-
amazing in
she's
this
great.
movie.
And her
She's
with him
incredible.
in all those scenes, and they keep cutting away at these perfect moments
Right.
to her back at the house
But
where
that's-
she's lit all the candles, which is great. That was wonderful.
But that's what, like, there was the most obvious joke in the movie, the most standout, obvious, practical joke in the movie, is the fact that they've wrapped him up with an excessive amount of tape.
Okay,
Right?
yeah, that's
And you have this
that was a
long
good
shot
gag.
of him and her at the table. And he plays it perfectly. Because at this point, he's not scared anymore. He's just had enough.
Yeah.
Like, he's just, all right, enough with this insanity. I've had enough. And he plays it so well. Like the sigh he gives when she takes off his tape. And he just gives that. Like, he's just
Yeah.
like, how much longer?
Although I did think a bad choice was when he finally figures out that the gun is fake and he slaps her. I thought him hitting her was a bit much. I don't know.
Right, but it's also...
It makes sense, but it's also
Bacon.
felt...
bacon on that
Bacon,
side.
Bacon on the left side, ham on the right side,
Thank you.
and this in the middle.
You're amazing.
Thank you.
When did they start serving it in little skillets?
I don't know, but this is very fancy.
They've looked around and they've gone, okay, so wait a minute, the neighborhood is becoming hipster, so we have to somehow start serving shit on artisanally chiseled wooden things and fake skillets. They never used to do this. It used to be on like nice, old, moldy, dirty diner china, which is what I want.
You just contradicted yourself about 4 times.
What do you mean?
Nice, old, moldy, dirty china.
I like old, cracked
Yeah, I know.
diner plates. So to me it is nice.
So now we pause while we eat something.
No, we keep talking while we eat something, like we would if we were just sat here talking.
Would we?
So I think your problem with the movie is that you don't quite,
I feel like it
get
should have
into
been
the
a
character.
little lighter.
and I
I
think
feel
that
like
would
it could
destroy
have
it.
had-
I think if anything, it should have gone darker.
But there's still such thing as charming dark comedy. Like it doesn't have to just be.
I think if you side with him, you lose the point. How can you side with a guy who lives in his basement, is that massively delusional? You're like when he goes, "Mom,
you can
shut
be
up."
sympathetic.
No, but
You don't side with him like,
when his
oh
mom,
my god, I love
when
this
his
guy.
mom
You're
interrupts
just like,
him,
oh, I kind of want this guy to succeed. But at this moment, at the end of this, I'm like, fuck this asshole. I hope he's in prison for life.
but that's the point. That's the satire. Look at the guy who gets out of, like the mobster who gets out of prison and becomes famous for writing a tell-all book. You know what I mean? That Scorsese then, funnily enough, makes a movie out of.
Yeah.
Like, look at the Wolf of Wall Street guy, right?
Yeah,
In that movie, right? You like him because
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
no, I don't like him because I don't like him in real life. But I'm not a big fan of excess.
You're meant to like him.
excess. But the way it's played, the way it's shot, and the way it's like offhandedly written, is you're meant to be like, oh wow, yeah, I want to live this life, because you're not at any point shown the hundreds of lives that were destroyed by this massive plot.
Which is one of the reasons I didn't want
And
to see
I
that
would
movie.
I would say, yeah. Also, he makes money off that movie. So, I would say that's a big problem for me. Whereas with this one, first of all, I don't need likable characters because I'm liking the plot. I'm liking not liking these characters. Does that make sense?
Okay. There's such thing as characters you love to hate.
Right. And while I agree with you that the slap that he gives her at the end is out of place, I think it's out of place not for the character, because I think there is that mean bastard in Jerry Lewis's character in this movie.
Right. And it's almost sort of warranted because it's like he's been kidnapped and
Right.
he just got away. But it's also she's. I don't want to say she's harmless, but she's clearly like
Because the next scene is her then running after him
a little mental.
down the street in her underwear.
Yeah.
You immediately go back to laughing again. So the darkness and the gasp of the slap doesn't resonate. That's the problem with it. It's not that it's out of character. You should at that point go, oh, wait a minute, who do I side with?
Yeah. Also, it should be a moment where like, hey, this is real. Everything just happened is real.
Right. That's the one bit I actually think
that was
fails
taking
in the
this
movie.
seriously, then it would say that's the moment where she would break out of her little reverie.
Right.
And they would say, this is real. You just fucking kidnapped me.
Right.
I'm calling the cops right now, and they're going to arrest you, and you're going to go to jail. But instead, he walks out, and she chases him down the street in her underwear, going, Jerry, Jerry. Or not Jerry.
Yeah, it's Jerry.
It's
He's
Jerry.
Jerry
Yeah,
Langford
Jerry.
and
Yeah, yeah.
Jerry Lewis, yeah.
Yeah, so
It's the one
It's
bit
just
for
a
me that
weird
doesn't quite
tonal-
work. Yes, tonally it doesn't work. I think it works for his character. I think it's exactly what he would do.
yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I just didn't think it worked. It
'Cause
didn't flow.
What I mean is, he doesn't come across as a warm character. You imagine that he's probably like the way he speaks down to his house servants. Like, he's like, I'm standing out there for 8 minutes. And he wasn't, he just rang the bell. But like, and I understand he's under stress because he thinks there's someone in his house. But even so, you can tell he's not nice to people in general. You know what I mean?
No, why else does he live in an empty house and have nobody around?
Right.
Despite the fact that he's a super successful, famous, rich person.
Right. I just realized we're talking about this movie and we haven't really explained what it's about. For people who haven't seen it, it's about a guy called Rupert Pupkin who lives in his basement. You never meet his mum, but you hear her like shouting down and telling him.
I
to
just
keep
saw
it quiet.
online that that's played by Martin Scorsese's mom.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's in a lot of his movies.
Is she? Oh.
In fact, he made a fascinating documentary about his parents and family that his mum and dad are in, and they're amazing. They're real characters. So he lives there, and he wants to be a stand-up comedian without basically doing any work, and he harasses a Johnny Carson
In fact, I don't even think he has an act in the beginning.
Middle America has an act. Thinks he has an act, but
No, I mean, I don't think he actually had an act that he had done and prepared. I feel like he wrote it when they asked him to give him a tape. I don't know.
Right.
I find it hard to believe he actually had. I don't know. Maybe he did. He certainly rehearsed enough stuff in his head.
right. But this is a guy who doesn't want to be famous for being funny. He wants to be famous for being on a chat show. Like, he watches The Tonight Show every night, and he just wants to be glad-handing and sipping scotch and smoking cigarettes. And
He wants to be Jimmy Fallon. Not
Right.
famous for being funny, just for being on a chat show.
he's funny on the chat show.
I hate Jimmy Fallon. I'm sorry.
And in The Last Recourse, when he shows up at his idol's summer home and is thrown out, and shows up at his office and is thrown out, once those two humiliating acts take place, humiliating to him, he decides the only recourse is with his crazy, obsessive autograph buddy, Sandra Bernhardt, is to kidnap Jerry Langford and demand that he gets put on the show.
And also, I should point out, those two humiliating acts
Are perfectly reasonable that they react that way.
They are, but they're also two humiliating acts in the sense it's the first two acts of the film are nothing but those happening. Like, my other complaint is it's such a long lead-in to get to the good stuff, which is the third act and the kidnapping.
See, I don't feel that.
I felt like it drags on interminably with him sitting in the waiting room and submitting stuff and going back and going back and going. It's like, okay, we get it. He's trying to get on the show. They don't want him on the show. I don't know. I felt like that.
Yeah, but it's not
It
just
wasn't
that.
terribly long.
You're meant to see his
How long is
psychosis.
the movie?
1 hour 42.
I was just saying, it wasn't terribly long, but it did feel draggy at parts to me in the first portion.
Yeah, but I
of the
think
film.
that in the same way that you have to get to the point where you're like, give up, buddy. The characters
it's
in the
almost
movie,
like they're trying to get you to a point where you're exasperated.
the characters in the movie have to get to the point where they say, okay, you can't come around here anymore.
Yeah.
If he showed up once at their office, and then the next scene was them kicking him out,
Or I would have said give up before that. So.
no. I like the slow build of this. The movie is not about the kidnap. It's not a caper crime movie.
No, I know.
The
But
kidnapping,
that's the best moment of the film.
right? But it's also the climax of the movie. It couldn't be more perfect that Phil Collins is playing right now.
I can't hear it. Is it Take a Look at Me Now? Mm-hmm. Oh, good.
Collins is my spirit animal.
Wow. That's
No, he's not really.
an embarrassing revelation.
Well, he made it without absolutely no talent.
What are you talking about? He's a great drummer.
He's a good drummer.
Honestly, I couldn't spot a good drummer if he wiggled on my face. Which is a very strange thing to say about Phil Collins.
There's something about Phil Collins that both his name and his face make me laugh uncontrollably, and I've no understanding right now why.
Will you laugh at him if he's wearing a jacket?
Yeah,
You will?
yeah.
What about if he's not?
Well, there's no jacket required.
Thank you. I tried to set you up and you kind of...
No, I knew where you were going. And actually, it's in too deep from the movie Mona Lisa.
This is in too deep?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
It's when Bob Hoskins goes down into the seedy underworld of London to try and find the long-lost lesbian love of the prostitute he's been driving around.
A favorite film of yours, is it?
I just spoiled Mona Lisa for everybody. But yeah, in King of Comedy,
Great segue.
we once did a podcast about Seven where we spent a long time talking about Lovejoy, so let's not...
That's true. And it was...
Not about Seven, about Zodiac.
It's Zodiac, right? Not Seven.
I can't even get the film right anymore. My brain has turned to mush. We have the best way to...
Anyway, Lovejoy.
Yeah. Tinker would have made an excellent Rupert Pupkin. I feel like Tinker is Rupert Pupkin in his own way.
He would be a great drunk Rupert Pupkin.
I feel like Lovejoy is is secretly about a delusional would-be antique appraiser who just wanted like Lovejoy are the dreams of Ian McShane's character Lovejoy. The reality is
Oh,
that
like
he
Rupert
keeps
Pumpkin's dream?
right. The reality is he keeps showing up to stately homes and getting kicked out.
He doesn't get romanced by the lady.
In reality, he's like a slightly balding 45-year-old with a portly belly tucked into very like. In reality,
Whereas in his fantasy, he's a not at all balding 45-year-old with a portly.
yeah.
I was gonna say you didn't change anything about him except the fact that he had hair.
In reality, he's like Jay Leno but balding. With the denims and everything. And he just shows up in stately homes with his drunk homeless friend Tinker
You're way too amused by it.
and a delusional, mentally unstable boy.
Eric?
Eric. The lady's like, oh, Tarquin, it's Lovejoy again. He keeps trying to...
What the hell kind of name is Tarkin?
Tarquin.
Tarquin?
Tarquin, it's like a posh boy's name.
Is it? Mm-hmm. Is that where they got Grand Moff Tarkin?
I don't know.
I've never heard that name before in my life.
Tarquin and Peregrine.
I
and
feel like Rupert is a posh boy's name.
Okay. Rupert, it's Lovejoy again. We need to call the police. He's trying to make it away with my priceless antique.
I'd say Rupert.
I'm going to watch Lovejoy again, believing that's the case, and I'm going to enjoy the series so much more.
What are you saying? You didn't enjoy the series?
It was alright. For a series that seemed to go on and on and on and on, despite having no discernible plot.
Alright. This podcast is over. Good days.
So, okay, so you would have liked him to have been a little nicer. I think that would have missed some of the satire, but...
I mean... I don't know. It just felt sleazy. Like, I didn't feel like I cared about that character at all.
When's he sleazy, though? Like, he's not sexually amorous or even carnivorous towards the bar lady that he
you're
wants
right.
to take out.
No, it's
he's
like...
more trying to impress her with his...
No, he more wants her as, like, a prop for his...
Right, for his life. Right.
Yeah, which is pretty sleazy. I don't mean sleazy and, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm using the word wrong.
I think it's the mustache. The mustache throws you because it is one of the sleaziest mustaches ever on movie.
The combination of the mustache and the outfit.
The pastel blue, three-piece.
Pastel blue with a white...
With the white shoes.
White shoes and matching belt.
Yeah.
It's pretty terrible.
I actually think it's one of De Niro's best performances.
I don't think his performance is bad at all. I just would rather they cast somebody else.
I think this and Taxi Driver and Lonely Guy, the Steve Martin movie, would make a great triple bill.
Really?
Mm-hmm. You could start with Taxi Driver and be all depressed.
Lonely Guy is a really depressing movie.
Right, but Charles Grodin is amazing in it.
All right.
And then you start off with start off with Taxi Driver, then go to King of Comedy and end with Lonely Guy. Then you go down to the Williamsburg Bridge.
And
Turn your stuff off, yeah.
Maybe that's why though. It wasn't crazy. I'm not saying I disliked the movie. I did it.
Right. Now, what do you think? Like at the end, are we meant to be happy that he doesn't die on his feet? Like, do you think it's a different movie if... Because at the end, the movie goes from criticizing him to criticizing the kind of audience that laps up crappy jokes
Garbage
night
like
after
that.
night.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you think it would be better if the movie ended and he got a dose of reality? And nobody laughed.
I think he's incapable of getting a dose of reality. So I don't know how much of the movie, the ending, is actually happening and how much is his own little weird fantasy world.
Well, no, he definitely becomes a big star. He definitely comes out of prison, writes a book. He definitely does all that.
How do you know?
Because that's...
How do you know that's not all in his head? We've had several scenes where they just cut to inside of his head, right?
Because I think that's the...
Commentary?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the bit where ultimately the satire goes, look, we're being satirical.
Yeah.
And we're meant to go, oh yeah, we do exalt the wrong people to places of power and celebrity.
I don't think it's even saying that. I think it's more just like saying, wow, the masses really like dumb shit.
Right. That's what I mean.
It's not that he's the wrong person. Just he's totally untalented.
That's the wrong person to exalt to celebrity and stardom.
Yeah. All right.
Because the regular people like dumb shit.
Right, but I don't know. Exalted makes it sound like you're purposely raising him up, whereas
They did purposely raise him up, and I think that
I don't think they're purposely raising him up. I think people are genuinely buying his stuff because they're interested, and they're into looking at a freak show. It's like everything. I don't know. Look at Charles Manson. He became a worldwide celebrity after trying to kill, or he did kill others.
Yeah, but I think you're discounting his talent on the acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
That was
And
delicious.
his writing skills. It was all right.
Oh, there's no pleasing some people. At the end of the movie,
You didn't even touch your toast.
I'll touch it in a minute. I'm letting my main go down, and then I'm going to have some grape jelly on rye for dessert.
You're letting your mane go down?
My main course go down.
Oh. I thought you meant like a mane, like a lion's mane. I need to let that... Now my hackles are up, and I need to let them drop.
So, okay, so let me ask you a question. At the end of the movie, do you like him or do you hate him?
Oh, I couldn't stand it.
Even at the end of the movie?
Yeah. I just don't... I don't think he's a likable character, and I feel like the moment where he goes into the bar and turns on the show for what's her name, the girl,
Yeah.
that should almost be touching, but the way it's played is like, how do you like me now? I don't
Right.
know. It's like not a... It just comes across... Everything about him is just
Except that,
not likable.
what is the moment of his lifetime? Is the moment of his lifetime being on stage, or is the moment of
People
his life?
watching him on
No,
stage.
but is the moment of his lifetime him
People
showing
watching him.
her in the bar?
I think it's him showing her, well, not specifically showing her, but showing anybody.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
He's not living to perform. He can give two shits about performing, right? He wants the fame.
Right. I think it would be interesting to see the first take of that monologue, but I think that
Which we should explain, we're told before the screening that he did an early take of
finals stand-up
that final
routine.
stand-up routine and ended up doing a second take of it after practicing for a couple of days because he didn't like it, supposedly.
And that performance is, that is truly incredible. That performance of him doing the stand-up, the way he does it, the way he's unsure of the
It's
jokes,
very
but when
campy.
they hit, no, but it's all in the. It's not in the. Like he plays nervousness, he plays, oh my god, they're actually laughing at this, while also playing like the self-assured, like he's playing like multiple things going
Speaking
on
of which,
while
he
also
says
delivering.
nothing funny at all.
No,
There's not a single thing in his
no.
that even approaches being close to a joke.
But there was a guy on, talking about Jimmy Fallon, there was a guy on Jimmy Fallon the other day that obviously Jimmy Fallon gave the most amazing, warm reception to because he loves everybody. But like there was a stand-up on Jimmy
Yeah, I was
Fallon
gonna
the
say,
other
what does
day.
that mean? That's like Chris Hardwick saying he likes somebody.
Right.
He's a sycophant, just says nice things to
Right.
everybody.
You must have liked Letterman because he was a miserable old curmudgeon who
Yeah, I
hated
did,
most.
actually.
Yeah, no.
No, I actually really liked, what's his name? The Scottish guy.
Oh, right. Yes, Craig Ferguson. I haven't seen his show on the History Channel. Is it any good?
I don't have TV.
You don't have the History Channel? It might show up on Netflix, some of those History Channel things do. No, there was a stand-up on Jimmy Fallon the other night who said, like, nothing funny. In fact, for someone who came out and had to have a 10-minute routine, he told one joke, was surprised the audience laughed at it, so then he told the joke again, but just in a different way. And it was exactly the same joke. And it wasn't even funny the first time. And then, like, for another 2 minutes, he, like, vamped with no material whatsoever. And I'm like, you're going on the Tonight Show. You have 10 minutes. You're apparently like a seasoned stand-up who's had years and years. Jay Mayo, who is still and would admit, like, he's only raised to host level. He's not got to headliner level yet. But Jay Mayo could go on the Tonight Show and for 10 minutes make America laugh better than this guy did. Jay Mayo's awesome. But I'm just saying, like, this guy's been around for decades, comes out and does one joke twice, and then vamps for the other 3 minutes. So,
All right.
he actually made Rupert
I'm going to
Pupkin.
take your word for this.
He
Even though I think you're probably biased.
No. He made Rupert Pupkin look like fucking David Letterman.
Okay. I
Also-
can't imagine anybody being on TV and being worse
Also,
than
by the
Rupert
way,
Pupkin.
there's a whole big thing about how, like, Jay Leno back in the day was this amazing stand-up, and Jay Leno still makes all his money doing stand-up and saved all his TV money and blah, 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 blah. I have, and every comedian ever interviewed has said, like, oh, Jay Leno back in the day, funniest guy, blah, blah, blah. I've never heard a Jay Leno stand-up bit. I've never heard Jay Leno say anything that was funny. Like, I've heard stand-up bits and seen 1 hour television specials and blah, 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 of almost every stand-up comedian from the shittiest to the best. I have never, has Jay Leno even done a special? Like,
I don't think he did. I think because he ended up doing the Tonight Show before he was ever...
right.
famous
And on the
as a
Tonight Show,
comedian.
he never said one thing that was ever funny, ever, once, never. I never saw any of his monologues that I went, oh, that was funny.
Where are we going with this?
I don't know.
Besides just saying that we hate famous comedians?
Where we go with this? We're both becoming grumpy old curmudgeons. That's
Hey,
where we go with
you're
this.
doing all the talking here.
Yeah. No, I'm freely admitting I'm a grumpy. So, okay, so you didn't like the character, you didn't like him. What were your other negatives about?
What?
What were your
Why is
other
that so
negatives
funny?
about it? Because there's bound to be more. I didn't like the train they rode out. That's
Why
not
are
a
you
realistic
putting
train.
butter and jelly on that toast?
Yes, because crazier things have happened. What are you talking about?
Like, pick one. Either butter or jelly, but both?
Both, always both. Oh, moron. Anyway, carry on. What other things
Moron.
were problematic? I'm leaving, sir.
That's it? This podcast is over.
Second time you're going to walk out on a show you didn't even want to be a part of in the first place. Actually, I shouldn't insult
What
you.
else didn't
I'm
I
having
like about the
I'm
show?
having a spectacular time talking to you.
I appreciate that.
I
I love when you backpedal. It's my favorite part of the show.
No, I realized that I
I
realized
draw out the real nasty you, and then you immediately backpedal. with, I'm so sorry. I really mean, I love everything.
all right.
I'm a little angry that my milkshake is empty.
I'll commit to the bit. Okay, what else?
What did I like, or what did I hate about the show?
Just give us more opinions. People want to know.
Opinions are like assholes.
Everyone has one, yeah. Great.
No, they smell bad.
So apart from making it
Speaking
lighter,
of bad jokes,
yeah.
let's see. I think overall, I still enjoyed the movie.
It made me laugh out loud.
It was basically the second half is the part that I enjoyed the most. The first half, I was kind of like, I just wasn't warming up to it at all. And it dragged out a lot with him going back and forth. And also the credits. I hated the credits.
Okay.
Whoever picked the font for the credits, that font doesn't match the tone of the film at all.
Right.
They picked like lighthearted comedy font.
Because I think for Scorsese, this was a light-hearted comedy.
For him, yeah, perhaps.
I think this was Scorsese trying his hand at comedy,
Failing.
and not to me. I laughed out loud in this film,
No, there's
and I've
several
even seen
moments
it
that are
before. In more, I laughed out loud in this film more than I have done in a comedy in the theater for maybe a decade. I found this movie funnier tonight than I've found this movie in a long, long time. And it's one of my favorites, but I found it utterly
I
hilarious.
mean, it does help to watch it in a theater
Right.
because you have other people laughing. I don't know. I feel like comedies are like horror movies, and when it comes to watching in the theater, like you get more out of them having an audience.
Right.
If I was watching this home alone, I probably would have hated it a lot more.
I think that's unfortunate.
I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much.
But I think, for example, there's sequences like where she starts singing "Come Rain or Come Shine" to him while he's still taped to the chair.
That was okay.
No, but it's
Went
she
on.
plays it so straight. You just don't like that song because that was the same song over the credit. You were just like, ah, going on
hated
too
the
long.
song over
Stop
the
it
credits.
now. Stop.
It's funny actually because I hated the song over
It's
the
Ray
credits
Charles.
too.
Come Rain or Come Shine.
I don't have a problem with the song. It doesn't fit with what's happening in the movie. None of it doesn't make sense.
Okay. All I'm saying is, her singing, like, cutting back, we've already had the insanity of her, like, pushing the plates away and let's just go crazy.
Which
and
was
da, da, da,
hilarious,
da, da,
yes.
da.
All of that was funny.
But then cutting back to her, and she then starts singing this song, like, in a totally straight way. She's not doing it in a dopey, crazy way at
no.
all. Completely straight way. Had me in fits. I thought it was I thought it was hilarious, just the way she was doing it. And the way that no matter what Jerry Lewis's assistant said to Pupkin, he was still gonna wait. Like the way that whole scene was played, that that made me laugh. That really made me laugh. I loved that.
Really? All right. I mean,
I laughed right at the beginning where De Niro's trying to hold back the crowd,
no, I didn't think that was funny.
and it cuts to De Niro. He's like, I don't do swamped by people. I think the only time when his shtick was really annoying is right at the beginning on the steps of the apartment building.
Agreed.
And you're sat there going, stop, just walk away. You've had
Yes.
your moment,
Please
stop.
shut up.
Walk away, stop. But you're meant to feel that.
I know, and I don't like that feeling. But
Right,
then
but it's legitimate that the movie makes you feel that way.
But that's cringe comedy.
But no,
That's
but
what
I don't think in that sequence they're going for the comedy. I think they're going for the... This is where you start laughing, and by the end of it, you're like, whoa, okay, this guy really doesn't get it. Like, that sequence is meant to show you how delusional he is.
That's fair.
And although it's a nice touch, I tell you what you could cut out, make it shorter, and make it better. You don't need the dream sequences. You don't
See,
need
and I
them.
think that draws him as delusional more than him acting like a jerk on this. I don't know.
No, it highlights his delusion, but that's all they do.
Right.
They're funny.
And I also took that as a setup to the end. So that at the end you would wonder, did he actually succeed or is that his own bullshit? So I didn't...
Okay.
That I kind of got for that reason. I agree you could lose it. Because it doesn't need that double-edged thing where you're like, oh, is this real or is,
And the
this,
one that-
is this him in his imagination? Is
The-
this really happening or is this his made-up fantasy world?
And the one in Sardi's, the first one you see, where they're both talking, is it Sardi's? That restaurant with the paintings on the wall? Just off Broadway?
I
Isn't
have
it
no
Saudi?
idea. No idea. Where is this?
Very famous New York restaurant. I think it's Sardi's.
Okay.
Just over the road from Times Square on Broadway, where they have all the famous drawings of famous people on the wall.
Oh, okay.
You know that early
Oh, the
sequence
scene
in the
with
movie
them talking and
where he's asking, will you do the show for 6 weeks?
Yeah.
Although it's funny because it's the first time you hear his mum, that sequence goes on too long. That's the one sequence that doesn't make a lot of sense.
I do agree it went on too long.
And even
A
the
lot
bit,
of those went on too long.
even the bit in the basement where he's got the two cutouts, that didn't need to go on as long as it did.
It didn't go on that long. They cut that one pretty short.
But
He
then
walked
the
in,
one,
he sat down, his mom said he had to go to work. And then
the
he got
best
up.
dream sequence or the best delusional fantasy sequence is the bit where he's handed in the tape. And he has that fantasy of Jerry in his office saying, "It's amazing. I wouldn't change anything. I don't know how you do it." That's the best written dream sequence in the thing, where Pumpkin sat really like awkwardly, as
Yeah.
if he's like a little schoolboy, and Jerry's like pontificating about how amazing he is.
Yeah. Yep, thank you.
And the other dream sequence that works really well and informs everything is the. No, I think we're good.
me.
Did you want anything else?
No, thank you.
No, I think we're good, so just to check. Thank you. The other dream sequence that really works is him being on the show and getting married. That's the other one that does really work. But I think the one with him and Sardis
That
and
one
the
worked. It was funny.
Well, it works because when you think, okay, wait a minute, this is going on a bit long, but then you hear the high school principal be like, "We'd like to apologize for everything we did
Yeah.
to you when you were at school," and suddenly it elevates it to another character.
Also, I really
moment.
feel like they wasted Victor Borga.
Right.
You know, they could have had him do something funny.
I think it's more. The other thing that I like about this movie is it is kind of B-list people like Randall and Borger and people like that, which are
Well, it's the kind of people who would be on a show like that.
right. And I kind of like that kind of chintzy, cheesy, late 70s, early 80s. These are the old, because
Yeah.
you don't have that now. Everyone who's famous now is 25,
Yeah, right.
right? You don't.
Yeah, 'cause
okay, I mean,
now it's like a cult of
Like Don-
appearance. It's how good looking you are.
like Don Rickles was on the Tonight Show the other night with Fallon again, and I was laughing and Fallon was laughing. The audience laughed where they were meant to laugh, but you could tell they didn't. They were like, "Who's this guy?"
Who is this guy? Yeah.
It was almost awkward.
Yeah.
And then they brought out Regis Philbin with a birthday cake, and I was like, "This is just it's completely the days of Philbin and Rickles, not in my mind, but in most people watching that show now."
They don't even know
They're
who they are.
And then Lena Dunham came out, and I turned off. But most people would probably be like, "Yay, someone I know and either like and or hate." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if they hate her, they can watch her and go, "Ugh, I hate her," or if they like her,
It was
they
probably
can.
true in the 80s too. But yeah.
I don't know, man. I feel that's the other thing. When you look at the movies of the 80s, the people who are the heroes or even the comedians or all the rest of it, they're all in their late 30s, early 40s. They're all the Ghostbusters are not young, sexy people.
No, but
You
that's
know
a
what I
comedy.
mean? No. But nowadays, nowadays it'd be Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah.
Okay,
They're not particularly young.
nowadays
Or sexy.
No. You're right about the Ghostbusters about it, but I mean you know what I'm trying to say,
Yeah, that movie with Zac Efron. Yeah.
right? Robert De Niro, Dirty Grandpa. That's what we're dealing with right now. I'm just saying, aside,
No,
you're not seeing those lounge comedians that back in the day were Carson would bring out and they would become famous for their Carson appearances because no one went to Vegas to see them other than the people who always went to Vegas to see them.
right. Well, I think talk television has changed.
Right,
It's not anymore. It's something else.
right.
And they're shooting for a different demographic. Back then, they were aiming at the adults. Kids watch kid stuff. Adults watch adult stuff. People who are 20, nobody gave a shit about.
I guess so. You know what I know.
I don't know. I feel like that's what it was.
I'm trying to say that in this.
And now it's everybody wants the 20 to. Well, and it also doesn't help that our generation grew up and we're still stunted and still watch cartoons.
Right. But you
So-
don't have the Dean Martins or there's not those no one comes on TV with a scotch and a cigarette anymore. You know what I mean? It just doesn't.
Yeah. No.
And there's something.
They
and
exist. They're just not on TV.
I get it, but it's
Steve Martin.
I miss that. Steve Martin comes out and plays his fucking banjo.
Yeah. But he's like the old guard of.
Right. At least Martin Short comes out and
he's
still
like the-
tries to attempt to be funny. He doesn't like come out and start to. And here's another song that I wrote
Bill
on
Murray,
accordion.
he's like a legend now. Like all of these old comedians,
I guess so.
they don't feel old to us because we're old.
I think I just miss drunk people moaning. That's what I miss.
All right, that's fair.
I miss drunk people moaning on television. That's what I miss.
All right.
And that I
I
like.
was gonna say you should do after movie bar, and
Yeah.
then you can have drunk people moaning.
No, because all bars are awful now.
Yeah. You could never record a podcast in one.
No, but anyway, my opinion of this film is that I think it is a lost Scorsese classic. I think it does deserve to be seen. I think that,
Is any Scorsese movie not a classic?
yeah, plenty.
Yeah.
New York is not a classic.
Okay, I don't even know that movie.
Right. The Age of Innocence was when it came out, but no one's talking about it anymore.
I don't know that movie either.
Kundun, has anyone even seen it?
Kundun?
Kundun, he did a film called Kundun about Tibetan monks.
Oh, wasn't that Kundun?
Is that how you
I
pronounce
believe
it?
it's Kundun.
Oh, is it
I could-
Kundun? Well, I condone you saying that.
I'm sorry, I cannot condone
Yeah,
your pronunciation of that film.
this whole podcast is Kundun. Meaning come undone. Anyway,
Wow.
what I'm saying is when people talk about the Scorsese De Niro years in the same way they talk about the DiCaprio Scorsese years, it's like no one mentions Shutter Island anymore. It's Wolf of Wall Street, maybe it's The Aviator, maybe...
Shutter Island a classic now?
No, but I'm saying like Shutter Island is one of those that people will go back and revisit because it's actually much better than the other ones he's done with DiCaprio.
Is that the one where he's a clone? And they ripped off that other clone movie?
There's not a
Oh,
movie
that was
where-
The Island. Never mind.
There's no movie. Scorsese hasn't done a movie with
No,
that.
not Scorsese.
Where DiCaprio is a
Was it
clone.
DiCaprio?
No,
Yeah, that was The
Island
Island.
was
Was that DiCaprio?
Edward, was Ewan McGregor and Scarlett
Ewan McGregor,
Johansson.
you're right. Okay, never mind. You said Island and I thought of the other. Forget it. Keep going.
It's okay.
Yeah, speaking of coming in.
I'm just saying, of all the Scorsese De Niro ones, next to New York, this is probably the one that's least mentioned. If people are going to talk about anything, it's probably going to be Raging Bull and Goodfellas, which I would actually watch the least. I would watch Casino, Taxi Driver, and King of Comedy before.
I feel like people would talk about Taxi Driver the most.
Not so much now. Everyone loves Goodfellas. Goodfellas is the one everyone loves.
All right, Goodfellas.
Because it's about gangsters, and gangsters are cool,
I hate
man.
gangster movies.
Right.
Personally.
Don't get me wrong, I love Goodfellas, but I love Taxi Driver, King of Comedy, and
I feel like
Casino
Goodfellas
more.
is overrated too.
That's what I'm saying.
But that's just me.
That's exactly
I
what I
was
just
never a
said.
big fan of that movie.
I also think Raging Bull is over.
I'm good. Do you need water?
No, I'm good. So I like it. I would urge people to go out and see it. I think that there is a lot going on in it. I think that it talks about America. It talks about stand-up comedy. It talks about ambition. It talks about psychosis. It talks about
It says more about the audience than anything.
But I think
And not
that
a good thing.
I think that when I watch Pupkin, there is a part of me that cringes because I know there's a part of me that at 16 was like, I'm going to send off my comedy tape to the BBC and it's going to be, everyone's going to think it's the funniest thing ever and I'm going to become the next John Cleese. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And
I know.
Right. And I didn't become the next John Cleese. I just stayed.
Maybe this is why you like this movie and
John
I don't,
Crooks.
because I can't relate to that at all.
There was never a moment where you thought,
I've never
I
liked
could
anything
write
that I've
something.
done.
Wow, really?
Not a thing.
Not even deep inside you, you're like, wow, I played that role-playing game really well.
Nope. No, I'm terrible at video games.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
I just
I'm
think
like
that
brutally critically honest with myself to the point of
not doing it.
probably hating myself more than most people hate me.
Everyone I know likes you.
I don't mean literally like that. I mean, like, if I was to produce some sort of content, I'm usually very critical.
But anyway, look, I think people should listen to this episode. I think that people should watch King of Comedy, however they find it. I think that people will like this episode, Mark, because they'll be like, "Yay, Mark, back on a podcast."
No, they'll be like, "Why is that guy such an asshole? Why are you friends with an asshole?"
No, I think people like it when we bicker. People love it when Jim and I bicker.
Yeah, but Jim's charming.
No, that's the accent, dude. He's.
I know, it's not fair. You guys have an unfair advantage.
See, the funny thing is Jim is much nicer than either of us. Like, as a human being, Jim is like a genuinely wonderful human being.
Quite nice and polite. And
Whereas-
he's got a wonderful love of chamomile tea.
Right. Whereas
Which
you...
I love chamomile too, isn't it?
Yeah.
I always thought it was chamomile, but, it's probably a British thing.
Right.
And I'm always waiting for a waiter to be like, "What the fuck do you want?"
Yeah.
But they always know.
Like this
And I'm
waiter.
always shocked.
Like
Because
this
I've
way,
never
when he was like, "What the
really-
fuck do you want?" And you were like, "I'm not ready, fuck off." And then he came over and he was like, "I'm a miserable fucking son of a bitch." That was
He
my
was
favourite
great,
thing
though.
tonight. He's a great guy. I'm going to come back just to have more misery dumped
Did we
upon
give
me.
him a good tip? I'll toss in for a tip.
I gave him $7 on a $35 tip. That's $20, 20%.
All right, that's good.
Plus, that's post-tax, so technically... on the original
Okay.
amount,
We get it.
you got
We don't need to talk about money. It's so
crass and
so
awful.
crass. I know. Aren't you British? Aren't you supposed to be
I've been in
mortified
America.
by things like that?
I don't get mortified by anything anymore. We live in a world where Donald Trump is running for president and is within a winnings chance. So, like, no, I don't get mortified by anything. I get mortified by my country leaving Europe, which I'm surprised we went the whole podcast without mentioning. So, well done.
I know. We did.
Anyway,
Brexit.
I have...
Is it time for us to make our Brexit?
Yes, it is.
We just ate breakfast and now we're going to Brexit.
Well, now we're going to Brexit. But no, Mark, Euphigenia McDonald, it was a real pleasure. Isn't that Mrs. Doubtfire's name?
No idea.
I think it is. What did you think your name? Oh, Ephron. That's it, Mark. Ephron McDonald. Thank you for so much. Thank you for so much. Thank you so much for being on the After Movie Diner this week, and a friend.
Travel down the road and back again.
Yes. Down the road, that's where I'm gonna be.
What?
I found a new friend.
That's not what I was going for at all.
That's the Littlest Hobo.
I was going for the Golden Girls.
Oh, well, I like the Golden
Get it
Girls
together,
too.
will you?
Thank you for being a friend.
Travel down the road and
Travel down the road and back again. I know that one as well.
Okay.
But I became the Littlest Hobo. I didn't metamorphosize into a
All
dog.
right, I'll
Enough
forgive
of
you.
this.
It's okay.
Yeah, enough of this.
It doesn't matter, John.
Cut it short.
Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant.
Thank you, sir. That means a lot.
You know what
Until
else?
you laugh.
You know what else is
Until you laugh.
if you had a party
Yeah.
and
Have you
you
got
invited
some-
everyone you knew.
You got some waterfront property in
you-
Nebraska to sell me.
No, you'd see that the biggest gift would be for me,
Right.
and the card attached would say, "Thank you for being a friend."
Okay, good. You're doing a whole Golden Girls bit. I feel like I should have Mo on the show
I'm a
because
little
he's
disappointed that you haven't gotten in on this. You didn't catch on to that.
I am a fan of the Golden Girls.
Fair enough.
I am a fan of Kim and I'm a fan of Mo, and they are both fans of the Golden Girls.
Well, then, if
and
I
when
made
it's on,
them even a little bit happy
Oh, you've
by
made
quoting that,
you've made Kim
then,
very
yeah,
happy.
Either of them.
And I, if it's on, I will watch it, but I can't say that I'm going to.
Oh, I'm not either.
Right.
Are you kidding? That show? What a piece of shit.
No,
It's
now
no
you-
Lovejoy.
Now you. and on that bombshell, thanks for being on the show, you miserable bastard.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll be back in a moment with more King of Comedy talk and, of course, the ending song. But before we do that, it is just my duty to inform everybody listening that if you like the show or if you love the website, aftermoviediner.com, please go to patreon.com/aftermoviediner. That's patreon.com/aftermoviediner and sponsor the show. Or indeed, you can go over to miskplumbingfixtures.bandcamp.com. That's MISC, plumbing as in what a plumber does, fixtures as in what they use to fix your plumbing with. .bandcamp.com and pick up my brand new album, Almost Naked, a 16-track long hit full of ukulele brilliance. You can go pick that up over at miskplumbingfixtures.bandcamp.com, and all the money goes to the show and the awesome relaunch of our aftermoviediner.com website, which is tantalizingly close within weeks, I promise you. So please, please, please do keep the show going by helping us out that way. Or if you'd rather not, you can always email us at aftermoviediner@gmail.com. Rate and review the show on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, or wherever podcasts are found. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell someone in the street, mention it at a supermarket, check out wherever you are, be talking about the After Movie Diner, and we are going to be coming back to you with phenomenal weekly content. We've got guest bloggers coming up, we've got guest hosts on the podcast coming up, we have got new film news, new film reviews, all sorts of exciting stuff coming up on the brand new website. So please, 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 please do help us. And if you can't support the show financially, support us by telling someone you love or someone you hate all about the After Movie Diner. Thanks. And now an extra little exciting sneak snippet from my conversation with Marc McDonald, followed by the ending song. Thanks ever so much for listening. Love you all. Good night. Right, so we're walking out of the diner, and Mark starts to regale me with an actual bit of factual knowledge that he has about King of Comedy. He didn't even bring up in the show. So we're now doing a recording as we walk to 14th Street, which is embarrassing Mark no end. Yeah. But he's being a very good sport about it. It is very awkward.
There are girls walking by.
People love this.
Looking at us strange.
Yeah, no, I want girls to look at me strange. So, you were saying the sequence in the King of Comedy where Jerry Lewis is walking down the road and a woman on the phone asks for an autograph from him and says, "Will you speak to my nephew on the phone?" And he says, "Sorry, I'm late for something." And she says, "You should only get cancer," which is hilarious. It's one of the best scenes in the movie that we didn't mention.
Yeah.
You said what about that?
I was saying that was an actual anecdote that he had told to Scorsese, and they wanted to include it in the movie. So it was something that had actually happened to him in real life. And during the scene, when they were shooting it, he was coaching the old lady on the proper way to deliver the "you should only get cancer" line.
Well, she did it very well.
Yeah, and apparently he coached her on that, because John was just reading online that somebody said that...
Rolly Hatch.
Yeah, Raleigh said that he had...
Sorry, Raleigh.
It's Raleigh, yeah. He had said that,
in my accent,
Jerry Lewis had directed some of the scenes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's true, but I was saying that I knew that scene he had directed that woman on the proper way to deliver lines.
So...
Or to deliver that line, which...
Did you always know this bit of information, or was your memory just jogged by what Raleigh
my
said?
My memory was just jogged by that whole bit.
Oh, okay.
I didn't think of it. I did not think of it while we were in the diner, so...
Right. Wow, that is the creepiest shop front dinner ever. Oh. That is really frightening at night. There was a kid's toy shop with lots of, like, really demonic stuffed toys in the front window.
You know, to be fair, though, they weren't demonic at all. They were Hello Kitty.
Right, but, like, they were lit up by this, like, demonic, unearthly pink glow. And it made cute anime characters, anime plushies, look demonic to me, and it was horrific.
All right, if you say so.
Yeah.
I don't know in what world the pink is demonic, but...
No, but it was that kind of unearthly pink that looked a bit like a Giallo movie when a guy in black leather gloves is about to strangle someone.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That, like, yellowy pink. That almost like... pink.
Right, the sickly pink.
Yes.
A...
Pepto-Bismol pink.
An Argento-esque lighting.
You could almost say an Argento magenta. Director jokes.
Oh my god. Oh, by George.
That was a good addendum to the show. Rupert Pupkin, you want to be famous and on the Jerry Langford show. Oh, nothing for you, and Jerry Langford and Sandra Bernhardt think you're a joke. Oh, but not in a good way. Ah, but Middle America is going to love you. You just know it if you could only find a way for you to show them, and for them to somehow listen to all the not very funny jokes that you will say. Oh, Rupert Pupkin, ridiculed and belittled, told that you're no good at the funnies. You have to start from the bottom, and that's right where you are, but you don't want to take the time, do you, sonny? Ah, but what evil scheme have you got planned, Rupert Pupkin, and what dastardly deed have you hatched? Oh, you think that you will get your way, Rupert Pupkin, if from off the street Jerry Langford is snatched? And you think the country will come to love you, Rupert Pupkin, because of your filthy, sleazy mustache? Oh, so what if you spend some time in prison, Rupert Pupkin, if when you're out, you're making heaps and heaps of cash, Rupert Pupkin? La, 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 Rupert Pupkin. 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 That's all you're getting.